I woke up at 2:17 a.m. to the glow of a screen. Emma lay on her side, shoulder pulled forward, blanket half off, thumb flicking fast. The silence in the room below louder than any argument. "Why aren't you asleep?" I asked into the dark. She didn't flinch, just texting the girls about something. "Must be urgent. Go back to sleep, Mark." I did. I was stupid enough to think that was the adult thing to do. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have turned on the lamp right then and started the clock. In the morning, she was breezy. Coffee, hair in a loose tie, leggings, that casual armor. I tried to match it. "How's the urgent committee?" I handed her a mug. Funny, she checked her phone again. "Brit's thinking of switching gyms. Riveting stuff. Glad national security's intact." She smirked, but nothing landed. The phone landed, though, on the counter, screen down. That week turned into a pattern. Late-night tapping. Face-down phone at breakfast. My name said with the kind of patience you use for a slow coworker. She came home later than usual, called them wine nights, then planning nights, then just nights. The colder she got, the more I tried to keep it from cracking. Fixing the leaky sink, knocking out the overgrown hedges, sending her memes I knew she used to laugh at. I didn't plead. I just did the normal maintenance like a guy who respects his house and expects respect back. By Friday, I pitched a reset. "Let's do Saturday," I said over dinner. "Decent place, good food, no phones for 2 hours. You pick the spot." She stabbed a roasted carrot and took her time chewing. 2 hours feels formal. It's dinner. I'll even hold the door and pretend to be interesting. She glanced up. For a second, I saw the woman I married. Then the screen buzzed, and whatever softness showed up went straight back to storage. "Let me check with the girls. We were going to do a thing. I'll see." "Emma, I'm not asking to share a lifeboat with you," I said lightly. "Just a table." She shrugged. "I'll see." I made the reservation anyway. Saturday came. The host greeted me with that trained warmth. I asked for a booth like some optimist. I ordered sparkling water, traced the condensation with a thumb, and watched couples walk in, laugh, be normal. At 7:25, I texted, "You close?" At 7:40, she wrote, "Sorry, lost track. Start without me." At 8:05, I paid for my water, tipped heavy because the server kept stopping by to pretend the third chair wasn't empty, and walked out. No drama, just data. On the way home, I changed one thing, the house code. Not to keep her out, just to tell myself I was done pretending nothing changed. Small rule, twice as loud as any speech. She came in at 11:38, keys rattling like a metronome. "You changed the code?" "Yep." "Why?" "Because I'm not a night clerk," I answered. "You want to come home late, fine. But tell me, I'm not doing the try the handle and hope routine. That's controlling. That's clarity." She let a long breath ride the silence. I was with the girls. We were planning a fundraiser. "For who, insomnia?" Her jaw twitched. "I'm taking a shower." "You do that." She took her time. I cleaned the kitchen and put her favorite knife in the far drawer. Not to hide it, to mark the end of autopilot service. Sunday morning, I didn't nudge, didn't ask for schedules. I went to the gym, then to the garage and changed my own oil like I used to when life was simpler. At lunch, I moved some savings into a separate account labeled Household Baseline. I texted, "I'm simplifying bills. Mortgage stays joint. The extras are optional. If you want something covered, put it on the shared calendar a week ahead." Her reply popped with speed. "Are you serious?" I typed very. Less gray zone, fewer fights. It's adult. She didn't argue further. But that night she lay there again, lit by a blue rectangle. I rolled over and let the distance sit between us like a third person. Monday at work, my buddy Nate leaned on my doorway. He's the sarcastic accountant who thinks receipts are a love language. "You look like you didn't sleep," he said. "Beauty fades, Nate. Trouble at home, or are you allergic to peace?" "She's distracted." He stepped in, closed the door with a finger. "You're not a surveillance guy, but if your gut is making noise, get information, not stories." "You recommending binoculars?" "I'm recommending you stop playing defense." He tapped my desk. "If something's broken, you either fix it or file it. But you don't sit in drafts." I booked a private investigator that afternoon. Quiet, firm, middle-aged woman named Carla with glasses and the kind of voice that sounds like a clean report. No theatrics. I laid out the pattern. She listened, wrote zero judgment, and set a fair rate. I paid the retainer from my separate account. Grown man move. No permission needed. At home, I cooked chicken, set the table for two, nothing candlelit, just decent. Emma walked in at 8:20 with a to-go cup and that absent smile people use when they're already somewhere else. Late meeting? I asked. She kicked off sneakers by the door. We ran over. Over what? Stuff. Do we have to do interrogation now? We have to do honesty now, I replied. Pick your poison. She snorted, grabbed a plate. You're overreacting. To you not showing up Saturday? Little. She poured herself water like that settled it. I said sorry. You texted start without me, which is different. Same intent. Different respect. She looked up, bored more than angry. You always make everything heavy. Only the parts you try to float. She set the plate down. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Then leave the plate. I told her, pushing my chair back. I'll handle cleanup like usual. But hear me. I'm not running after you to keep this warm. I'll do my part. I won't do yours. That was my first firm line said out loud. She didn't like it, but she also didn't fight for long. 2 days later came the first soft reset. She stopped by my office with coffee and a smile that belonged to better seasons. She never just dropped by. You're close to here, right? She said, stepping in. Thought you could use a caffeine bribe. Bribe for what? For me being tense. Work's been nuts. I haven't been fair. Work always is, I said, eyes on the cup. What's the actual ask? No ask. She perched on the chair like it could throw her off. Just wanted to see you. Nate passed by the glass wall and gave me the look that says, don't let your guard fall apart. I thanked her for the coffee because I'm not a caveman and kept the line simple. Appreciate it, I said. My expectations haven't changed. If you're out late, text. If we plan dinner, show up or cancel like an adult. That's it. She nodded, soft. I hear you. That night she curled into me for the first time in weeks. She laughed at a dumb show. She locked her phone and put it face up on the nightstand, like a prop in a play about trust. It almost worked, but almost isn't a contract. 2 days later she was late again, no text. When she walked in, I was in the garage over a small woodworking bench I'd been ignoring. I didn't turn it into a sermon. I just turned off the light when she came in, wiped my hands, and said, calendar next time. She rolled her eyes. Yes, Dad. Careful, I said, holding her gaze just long enough to show it wasn't a bit. I'm not raising you. She threw up her hands and went to shower. Cold night. Clear mind. That weekend I scheduled a real dinner, nothing fancy, but I told her with time and place and that I'd be there with or without her. She said she'd meet me. She didn't. That was my green light. I stopped trying to resuscitate a thing she kept unplugging. I called Carla Monday morning and asked for an update cadence. She said she'd ping when there was something concrete. Wednesday mid-morning, I got the text that set the tone for the rest. I'm going away for a week with the girls. Just to have fun. Don't worry, I'll send photos. I looked at it for 5 seconds and laughed without humor. I typed back, got it. Enjoy. Send the hotel info for emergencies. She responded with a winky face and a will move around. Sure you will. My phone buzzed again 30 minutes later with Carla's name. I stepped into the stairwell where echoes die. Your wife is at the airport, Carla said, calm as weather. She checked in for a flight to Paris with a man named Tyler Jensen. I have photos. They booked a shared room for the week, small boutique place in the Marais. I also pulled a public record. Tyler is married. His wife's name is Laura. I have her number. Text me everything, I said. Zero tremor. Decision made. She did. Photos of Emma and a tall guy in a casual jacket near a gate. Screenshots of a booking with 2 names, 1 room. Address. A clean, emotionless package. I called Laura. It rang twice. Hello? She answered guarded. Laura, my name is Mark. I think we're connected by a problem you don't deserve. Is this a good time to be very straight? Silence, then steel. Say it. Our spouses are in Paris together right now. I said, factual. I have photos from this morning. I have the hotel and the room booking. I'm sending them because you deserve the whole picture. For a moment, she didn't breathe. Then her voice turned low and surgical. Text them. I sent the file and waited. 10 seconds. A sound I can only describe as a laugh with no humor. Okay, she said. My favorite part is the Girls' Week cover story. He told me he had a summit. Mine said, send photos. So we're both being treated like attentive babysitters. What are you going to do? File, I said, and make sure there's no scene when they land. I don't want a soap opera. I want clean exits. I'm in, she said without hesitation. I'll file too. But I also want the look on his face when he realizes he's not the only person with a brain. You want to surprise them, I said. I want them to walk into a room and realize the door locks from our side. No screaming, just facts. Then we'll drive to my place and repeat it. Fine by me. I'll set the schedule. Text me your address, she said. And Mark, thank you for telling me like an adult. Thank you for not firing off a grenade today. Let them have their week. They bought it. After that call, I made 2 appointments. One with a mediator to start the paperwork, one with a locksmith to change the front lock to a keypad I controlled. I boxed the sentimental things that were mine, old baseball, my father's tools, photos I wasn't willing to see in a storage bin on someone else's schedule. Not because I was storming out, because I was done being surprised. At work, Nate leaned in again. You good? I'm more than good, I said. I'm organized. He squinted. That's either very good or very bad. It's clean. Emma sent 3 pictures over the week. A street market, a cafe table with a pastry, a view of the river. No people in any of them. Stock photos with fingerprints. I responded with a single thumbs up. She wrote, you okay? I sent, tight week at work. We'll talk when you're back. She wrote a heart. It landed on the floor and stayed there. Midweek, she called at 2 a.m. my time from a number with no name. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was light. Hey, we rented bikes today. It was insane. Miss you. She didn't mention the man booking rooms under his own name. I slept fine. Friday, my neighbor Jess saw me hauling a box to the garage and stopped on the sidewalk. You two moving? She asked, sipping an iced tea. No, I said. Just editing. Less clutter. She's been out a lot. Yep. You okay? I'm choosing peace, I said. Jess nodded like she knew exactly what that meant. If you need a witness for anything, I saw her hopping into a black SUV Monday evening. Different driver than usual. Thanks. Monday morning of her return, I took off work. I cleaned everything I was keeping. I put a suitcase by the door, hers, not mine. Not staged, just practical. Laura texted me she was 5 minutes away. I made coffee and checked the time. The house was quiet in that focused way before a project starts. At 11:30, the key turned. Emma stepped in with sunglasses on top of her head and jet lag in her voice. I'm dead, she said, dropping her tote. That flight home was brutal. How was the fun? I asked from the kitchen island. She flopped on the couch like it was owed to her. You know, chaotic. Britt lost her wallet, of course. We took a wrong train. I'll tell you after a shower. I smell like airplane. Take your time, I said. We've got a little thing in 20. She glanced at the wall clock. What thing? Friend swinging by. She blinked. Who? You'll see. She shrugged. Whatever. In the shower, she sang, an off-key tune she does when her world is safe. She came out in a robe, towel in her hair, no makeup, voice casual again. So, she started, toweling off. We rented scooters. You would have hated it. Britt kept swerving into pedestrians. And we found this place with the best onion soup. I looked at my watch again to make sure Laura's timing was tight. Emma noticed. Why do you keep checking the time? She asked, a wrinkle of annoyance returning. Just waiting on a friend. Who? The doorbell answered for me. I opened it to Laura, compact, composed, a woman who had done her crying before morning and put it in a drawer. She stepped in with a polite smile for me and a different smile for Emma. Emma froze mid-sentence. Who is she? My friend, I said evenly, gesturing. The one I told you about. What friend? Her voice jumped a register. Meet Laura. I continued, hands in pockets. She's Tyler's wife. You know, the man you spent a week with in Paris. Laura turned to face Emma fully. So, how was the girl's thing? Emma's face drained, then flushed. Fight or spin? She chose spin. This is insane, she snapped. Mark, is she your... Is this some kind of stunt because you're guilty about something? I laid a folder on the coffee table, printed photos from the airport, a screenshot of the hotel booking with both names, a copy of the flight confirmation, all facts, no adjectives. You want to try another version? I asked. She scanned the images, then me, then Laura. Her mouth opened and closed, but no words arrived that could carry weight. Laura didn't wait. You wasted my time, Laura said calmly. You wasted his time. You stood in my kitchen last month and complimented my wedding photo. And you booked a room with my husband. Emma's voice shot up. He told me you were practically done. He said you were controlling. Laura's eyebrow climbed. Of course he did. It's the script. Emma pivoted hard. Mark, she's lying. You know I was with the girls. I held up a hand, palm out. I know you were with a man named Tyler. I know the room number. I know where you ate. I know enough to be done. She looked at the suitcase by the door, and something in her finally registered the new rules. Her voice shrank. You're throwing me out? I'm ending this, I corrected. You're going to your sister or wherever you like. The rest of your things will follow when you send an address. I already arranged delivery. You can't just. I can, I said. And I am. The papers are on top, by the way. I pointed at the folder's second half. I'd be grateful if you sign without theatrics. She stared at the signature line like it had a pulse. Laura folded her arms and waited. The room went quiet except for the faint tick of the wall clock that suddenly mattered to everyone. Emma tried one last tactic. We can talk, she said softly, playing the gentle card. We've had a rough patch. People have rough patches. We had choices. You made yours, I answered. No patch fixes contempt. Her eyes watered, not with regret, with exposure. She grabbed the suitcase handle like it might argue with her. At the door, I stopped her with a word. Almost forgot, I said, pulling my copy of the keys from the hook. Leave yours. She placed the key on the console. I opened the door and stood aside. She stepped out into daylight and didn't look back. I closed the door on a very specific picture, the exact moment control evaporates. Laura let out a breath she'd been holding for a week. We sat. For a minute, neither of us spoke. You okay? I asked finally. I'm not broken, she said. Just recalibrating. Same. She pointed at the folder. You handled this like an operations manager. I appreciate the lack of fireworks. I don't like smoke, I said. I like air. She allowed herself a small smile. Now for Act 2. Let's go, I said, standing. You drive. It's your house. On the way, we compared notes and clipped lines. Tyler's favorite excuses. Emma's stock phrases. The way they both used work like a universal solvent. Laura's house was a tidy craftsman, porch swing still moving from morning. Inside, the place was organized and warm, evidence of a person who treats things with care. Tyler's car was in the driveway. Laura set her bag down on the console with a precise click. You want me in the room? I asked. Yeah, she said. He'll perform less with an audience he doesn't own. She texted him from the kitchen. Can you come downstairs? His voice came back from above, light. Busy. 2 minutes. Great, she called. Bring your phone. He came down in joggers and a smug half-smile that shrank when he saw me. Who's this? Mark, I said. Emma's husband. His jaw worked. Laura, what is this? Schedule clarity, she answered. Sit. He didn't. He grabbed for indignation, the cheapest tool. This is ridiculous. He's stalking me? Who does that? I didn't bother. I laid out the 2 photos that mattered. Him and Emma at the gate, sleeve brushing sleeve. The reservation showing both names, one room. He stared at them a long second, then went for the script. It's not what it looks like. Laura cut in. Don't insult me. We're not in a hallway. We're at the table. He tried a softer angle. Laura, I love you. We had a rough period. I made mistakes. Rough period, she repeated. You booked a week. He glanced at me, annoyed I had eyes. Can you give us a minute? No, Laura said. He stays so you don't turn this into an aria. Tyler held the counter, then let go. Fine. I messed up. It meant nothing. I shrugged. It meant enough to make reservations. He turned to Laura, voice dropping into a practiced contrition. I'll fix this. You won't, she said calm. Because there's nothing left to fix. I filed this morning. You'll get served. He blanched. You filed? We can work. She slid a small stack of envelopes across the island. This is the plan for the next 90 days. You will pack a bag. You will stay at your brother's. You will not take my office chair. And you will not remove files from the cabinet. He stared like the list itself was obscene. You can't kick me out of my house. I can ask you to leave a house I own, she answered. And I'm asking. With documentation. He looked at me again, desperation creeping sideways into anger. You think you're some kind of hero? I think I'm a man who respects himself, I said. Everything else is your narration. He shook, then stopped, then changed tack. Emma told me you were controlling, that you were cold. Sure she did, I answered. She also told me she was on a girl's trip. He stared at the paper with the hotel address like it was written in fire. The fight went out of his shoulders. He dropped his phone on the counter with a clack. Can I at least get my laptop? He muttered. Laura nodded. Yes, I'll watch you pack. I'm not petty. I'm thorough. He went upstairs with the hunched gait of a man who understands gravity for the first time. Laura and I stood there like co-foremen after a demolition. You handled that well, I said. I had practice in my head all week, she replied. Thank you for standing here. Any time I never have to do it again is fine by me. She allowed herself a tiny laugh. Then she set her shoulders and went upstairs to supervise. 10 minutes later, Tyler came down with a bag and eyes that had finally met a mirror. He walked past me without another line. The door closed, and the house exhaled. Laura leaned on the island, palms flat. I'm ordering pizza, she said. Basic. No celebration. Just food. Good, I said. My adrenaline thinks it's hungry. Over slices, we talked like two people who had run the same distance in different shoes. She asked about the PI. I told her Carla was efficient. She asked if I was angry. I told her I was done. She asked what I'd do next. I told her I'd go back to a life where the phone face-up didn't feel like a theater prop. If you ever want to grab lunch and talk about anything else, I said, I'd appreciate a conversation that isn't a report. I might take you up on that, she replied, after the dust settles. Back at my place, the quiet felt earned. I gathered Emma's remaining things into 3 boxes. No ripping, no breaking, no ceremony. I carried them to the garage and labeled them by room. That night, I slept with the phone in the kitchen and the door closed. Peace sounds like nothing. In the days after, the text started. Emma, can we talk? Me. Everything meaningful has been said. Emma, this is a massive overreaction. Me. That's one view. Mine is final. She tried the second soft reset a week later. She showed up in the late afternoon in a soft sweater, hair done, voice extra gentle. She held a bag of my favorite takeout like a truce flag. I thought you might not be eating, she said, stepping into the doorway. I'm eating fine. Can we sit? No, I said, but you can say what you came to say. I'm sorry, she offered, the words polished. I didn't think. I was lost. I miss us. You missed the part where the bills pay themselves and the questions never land, I answered. I don't miss any part that came after midnight. She looked past me into the house like maybe the couch would help her. We can try therapy. I don't negotiate respect, I said. It's either there or it isn't. She blinked back something she wanted me to fix. I didn't. She handed me the bag and left with the kind of slow steps meant to drag out a scene. I shut the door gently. I ate the food because it was food. I didn't text thank you. The mediator moved swiftly. Papers went where they needed to go. I sold the smaller car and put the funds into my baseline account. I kept the house because I had the down payment and the schedule and the will to mow. She moved in with her sister, then with a coworker, then into a small place near a busy road. I arranged a courier to deliver her boxes exactly when she said someone would be home. I didn't show up with them. I didn't sign for her. The gray zone was closed. Work got quiet good. I took on a project nobody wanted because it needed order. Nate took me to a minor league game and didn't ask about anything until the 7th inning, then asked once. You sure you're okay? He said, eyes on the field. I'm better than okay, I answered. I'm honest. In the grocery store, Jess ran into me by the produce. House looks steady, she said. It is. You dating? Not yet. You will, she said. People like clean energy. She wasn't wrong. Weeks later, Laura texted me about a coffee place opening near the river. We met at noon on a Saturday. No drama, no backstory recital. Just 2 people who'd seen the tricks and didn't feel like learning them again. How's your place? I asked. Quiet, she said. I bought a new desk chair. It's ridiculous how good that felt. I reorganized the garage, I said. Couldn't believe how much space my life had when I stopped tripping over someone else's comfort. She raised her cup. To square footage. To clarity. Here's the part that matters to men like me. I didn't win by competing. I didn't posture. I didn't try to charm someone back into respecting me. I set rules I could live with and enforced them like a grown man, not a guard dog. Every time she pushed, I moved a lever, separate accounts, calendar expectations, no unannounced returns at midnight, no free access to the person I had to be in the morning. When the facts showed up in cold print, I didn't collapse. I didn't raise my voice. I simply opened the door and handed over a pen. Months later, I pulled into my driveway with a new truck that I bought because I wanted it, not because anyone else would be impressed. The lawn was cut in lines. The house lights were warm, not interrogations. A woman's laugh came from my living room. Laura and a couple of friends from her office were over, making fun of my attempt at chili. I walked in and got torn apart for the beans like any man who overestimated cumin. It felt like life, not performance. Emma's name didn't appear on my phone anymore. Word through the grapevine said her new place was small and her job stretched her thin. That happens when you build on a foundation that shifts under truth. I didn't cheer. I didn't check her socials. I didn't need a finish line that included her. My finish line was the day I stopped being the only adult in a room built for two. One last thing. That night, when she stood in my living room fresh from a shower telling travel stories that didn't happen, she asked why I kept checking my watch. I told her a friend was coming. She thought I meant someone to distract me. What I meant was someone to end the story with me. That's the difference. Boys throw scenes. Men arrange endings. So, if you ever wake up at 2:17 to a glow that isn't for you, don't argue with blue light. Don't beg to be chosen in a game you didn't sign up to play. Change the code. Move your money. Make your rules clear. And when the facts walk through the door, hand them a pen and hold the frame steady. Then step into your own house like it finally belongs to you.